Hi, and welcome back to Radio Restoration at Dragonfly Engineering. I'm Bill Metz, and today I'm working on the station presets for this old Zenith, 1942 Zenith radio. And I've removed the preset panel here. We discussed this a little earlier in one of the videos, where when you set the dial or the band selector to automatic with this radio, you can just push a button to select a preset radio station. The radio stations on here are WLW, WRFD, WMNI, WCOL, which is a big clue, and WBNS. Now, because these all have a W as the leading letter designator, these are for east of the Rockies. And this radio, well, Dave grew up with it back in Columbus, Ohio. And WCOL is an AM station out of Columbus, Ohio. So how this works is behind these selector buttons. When you push these buttons, they actuate these levers here. And what happens with each of these levers is you press the lever, it toggles to one of the different presets. Now with each of these levers, there's an associated tunable inductor, which is adjusted by screwing each of these rods in and out. So with each frequency, there's a rod that gets moved in and out, and then fine-tuned with an adjustable capacitor. So coaxial to this inductor adjusting screw, there is a nut that has maybe 2 turns or so of adjustability on a capacitor here that's adjustable for fine-tuning. So each of these inductors has a movable slug that moves in and out of a coil, and that changes the tuning frequency. All that being said, each of these has a limited range for tuning capability, and if I had the original manual for this radio, I might be able to figure out what that is. But there's some hints here. Looking at what these original presets were, WLW is or was an AM station at 700 megahertz or kilohertz rather in the AM band. WFRD 880, WMNI 920, WCOL 1430, and WBNS 1460. So what that means is I can find AM stations in the lower frequency range, probably with these first 3 inductors, and I can set each of these to local stations in the lower section of the AM range. And then these upper ones here, again, 920, 1430, 1460, the upper range of the bands. So what'll be interesting to do is see what I can pick up locally with this radio, and then I can preset each of these to stations in the lower and upper ranges of the AM band. So what I've done so far is just I've removed this, I've sprayed it with some deoxit to clean it up. There are contacts. Let me see if I can have the contacts are here. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but when you select any of these switches, that pushing this second one in raises this flag up here. There's a contact and a contactor that come into alignment. When I push the adjacent one, it releases, this latches, I brought this up, it latches here. As I push to the next one, it releases, there's a traveling bar here, releases the preset that was latched, and then this one latches. So again, anytime I push any of these, it releases the previously set station and then ratchets this one into position where contact is made here. So Again, I've tried to clean these up as well as possible. There's some really ancient grease on these, so I may get in here with a Q-tip and some contact cleaner and clean these up a little bit and see if I can get this put back together and working. Okay, let's see if we can get a little better look at the workings on this preset mechanism. So each of these metal tabs here, that's what the push button bears against. So when I push one of these buttons on here, it moves this tab here. That presses on one of these buttons here, so that brings this piece up, and there's a bar here that it ratchets into, and bringing that up closes this contact right here. So I can bring that down, back up again. That brings this tuning coil into play. And pushing the adjacent button brings the next one up, and so forth. Bringing it partially up releases all of the buttons here. So you can tune one station at a time, or have them all released. So yeah, neat little mechanism. Okay, quick tutorial on setting the station presets. Right now in the automatic tuning mode, normally it would be over here, yeah, AM radio band here, and AM's working. So go to automatic. I'm going to adjust the second preset. So again, this long screw here is attached to a iron slug that as we turn this screw, it moves the slug inside a small coil. And I'm just going to roll this out until I find something. May take a bit of doing. Oh, let me turn this up too. I need to turn my volume way up. All right, here's the abbreviated demonstration on how to set these tuner presets. I've got the second one selected here. I've got the band selector set to automatic, and I've got the volume turned all the way up, and by turning this middle screw here, I'm moving a iron slug inside a coil. And just adjust that until I start hearing a station. And then this outer screw, this nut here, that's the fine tune on this adjustable capacitor here. The capacitor is basically just a sheet of mica with metal plates, kind of spring-loaded metal plates on either side, and as we adjust that nut there, it adjusts the distance between the plates, which is a fine-tuning capacitor. So that accomplishes tuning this preset. And it's just a matter of going through and finding stations in the range of each of the presets and then setting them. And that's how that's done. Back at Dragonfly Engineering, we've got the speaker mount board all prepped and ready to go. And Dave found a really lovely grill cloth to go over this. And so I'm going to go through the steps of prepping the grill cloth and getting that installed. I'm going to start with cutting the grill cloth to size. Obviously, These don't come in one size fits all. Important to find a piece of cloth that will actually cover the entire grill board. And so what I'm going to do is just lay this out. I'm going to stretch it out and then cut it so that it's just reaching from one side to the other and having a bit of overhang at the top here, like the original cloth was, and again over the bottom a bit. So I'm going to go see if I can find a good sharp pair of scissors and we'll get that taken care of. Well, in the absence of a good sharp pair of scissors, because I can't find any anywhere, I did find a nice brand new razor blade. So what I'm going to do is just use the pattern that's on this cloth to just very carefully cut a nice, reasonably straight line, just going from peak to peak on these diamond patterns here. To make a reasonably straight cut so that this is just a bit larger than the board. And the same thing will go just a bit long at the top and bottom here. And again, find a spot in the pattern and use that as a guide. And from here, we'll roll this up with the front to the inside. Try to get this nice and straight. And now we'll go ahead and get prepped for adhering this. All right, next step in preparation is I'm going to just very lightly mist both sides of this grill cloth, just to make it just a slight bit damp here. And this will help it to tighten up once it's installed. Getting a few drips on here, I'd rather not, but again, just a light mist. And then I'm going to roll this up with the front side, the pattern that we want to see, with that on the inside. Got a bit of a windy day going today, but in between gusts, I'm going to see if I can get the adhesive on this. I'm going to just run around the perimeter here. I'm using the 3M Super 77 spray adhesive. It works really great for this. So again, just going to give it a good heavy coat. Just around the perimeter. Okay, now for the, you only get one shot at this fun part, and that's actually installing the grill cloth. So let me grab that. And what I'm going to do is just lay this very lightly on here. And I'm going to find a straight line portion in the pattern here and line that up with the top edge of this. I want to get this so it's centered. And let's see here. Start with this edge here. Find right in the middle of this diamond pattern here. And just follow this line. Okay, so I'm sighting down this edge here and getting that started good and straight. And then from here, I'm going to roll this out bit by bit. Stretching it tight. And keeping it straight. Pull the wrinkles out of it as I go. Pull this tight right down the middle here. And then work my way across. And just sighting down the length of this. Pulling it snug. And adhering as I go. Okay, after an extended bit of tugging and pulling and eyeballing along edges and everything else, we've got the cloth on. It's not drooping or sagging anywhere. And I'm pretty happy with how well it lines up with the edges. I'm going to let this adhesive set up, and then I'll go ahead and trim off the excess along this side. And then we'll go ahead and prep this to mount it back into the radio cabinet. Now, one of the things we've got to be careful with is there are screws that go through the board and into the cabinet, and those screws go through the speaker cloth. Now, if you just run a wood screw in here, it'll go in, it'll go to dig into the wood, and it'll grab the speaker cloth as well and leave a real nice rip in the seam, or it'll disturb the pattern. It's a really good way to ruin a lot of work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-mark, I don't know how well this shows here, these existing holes on the back side here. I'm going to run just a needle through these guys, and then from the other side here, I'm going to take a hot soldering iron and just punch a hole with a hot soldering iron into the grill cloth, and that'll give us a relief hole for the fastener to go through, and it'll also help keep everything lined up. It'll sandwich the cloth between the backer board and the radio cabinet itself. So let me let this set up, maybe grab some lunch, and we'll get back to this. Okay, back from lunch. Special shout out to El Taco de Oro in Alviso, California. one of our favorite places to dine. But now it's time to do a bit of finish work here. We'll go ahead and get the edges trimmed off on the speaker cloth, and like I discussed earlier, we'll go ahead and punch the holes for the screws where they go through. So this again is just going to be a little judicious and rattly trimming with a razor blade. And now to prep the holes for the screws, I'm just going to find the existing hole on the back side, run a nice sharp tool through there. Oop. So now we've got a mark. And use a hot soldering iron to just melt a nice, neat hole in the speaker cloth there that won't unravel. Find the next one. The lovely smell of melting polyester. And that's it. Let's see if we can get this thing installed. If you saw the video where I disassembled the, removed the speaker mounting board from the cabinet, you may or may not recall that there are 2 screws that go through this board up here, and then 10 more that run around the periphery here. So let me see if I can fish this back into place. Grab these 2 screws here. I've removed the wave magnet antenna to give me better access. And let's align this up to the existing holes here. Get this screw started. And same thing with this one. Find that existing hole right there. Get that going in. Really important to try to catch the original threads rather than cutting new ones as you install the screws, simply because you end up cutting new threads right on top of the old ones, and then you end up with just a stripped out hole. So what I'm doing here is seeing if I can't start each of these screws by hand. Get them all partially inserted here. Interesting too, I was noticing as I was taking these screws out, they all go in at oddball angles. They weren't installed straight in. I don't know if that was intentional or just somebody trying to be expedient on the assembly line, like any screw that goes in is a good one. But that makes fishing for these existing holes a little bit challenging occasionally. Let's see what happens if I get one of these going down here instead. Oh yeah. This mounting board is quite warped, which made installing the grill cloth a bit of a challenge. And they also cause a bit of a problem here getting these screws in. So I'm going to go ahead and snug up these bottom two first. Just try to get this reasonably flat. Oh yeah, that's going right in. Great. And that should help the remaining screws line up. Okay, just a few more to go here. Oh yeah. Ah, there we go. Okay, and I'm just going around. I'm not going to tighten any of these 100%. I'm going to get them all down so they're well engaged. The screw head is making contact with the back of the board. If you've ever assembled a kid's swing set, and I don't even know if they make those anymore, backyard swing sets. Early lesson I learned a long time ago. Start all of the screws, get them all partially installed before tightening any of them. Because if you start on one end, snugging them down, by the time you get to the other end, you may not be able to line things up. So, all right, let's go ahead and get these top two tightened down and work my way around with the rest of these now. I'm just going to start at the top and work my way down, going side to side. Probably said this before, I'm not a big fan of slotted screws. Much prefer a Phillips head if you want to use a standard screwdriver type tool. Actually a big fan of Torx or Allen's because your tool stays in place way better and you can apply a lot more force without the risk of camming out of the fastener. Okay, now that I've worked my way all the way down, I'm just going to go back up, make sure these are all snug. And that's back home, hopefully for another 80 years. All right, next step is installing the speaker. There are 4 studs already in place on the speaker mounting board, so it's just a matter of putting the speaker onto the studs carefully so that you don't end up puncturing the speaker. So I'll just get this in here, carefully line that up with the top 2 studs, and pop the bottom ones through. I remember when I went to remove this, I believe I had problems with the threads on the end of this top right stud, and this nut is not threading on easily. Never force anything. Make sure I don't have this cross-threaded. Okay, there we go. That's going on now. And again, I'll go all the way around with these just bottoming against the sheet metal frame of the speaker, and work in a circular pattern around here, getting them all evenly tight. Again, not something you want to apply 120 foot-pounds of torque to. Just make sure they're all snug so they don't vibrate loose. So each of these one last tweak here. And we're good. Rather than bore you with more action shots of the back of my head, went ahead and reinstalled the wave magnet antenna. And at that point, at this point here, this completes the restoration on this radio. Let me see if I can get this turned around. We can have a look at the front side.
Okay, we are trying it out here.
The first one was the one that was... Okay, so what we've got to sort of conclude here, the radio is working.
Yeah, it looks nice. Look how well that cleaned up.
I am really, really happy with how this turned out aesthetically. Yeah. And just,
but we still have more to do, like the grill cloth and
grill
things
cloth.
like that.
Yeah, we'll get the grill cloth put in, put the speaker back in the cabinet. Quick overview of features on this now. So there's this automatic setting here, which I believe is for using these pre-tuned stations here. Oh, yeah. It's coming in.
Oh, okay.
So I believe that's what this automatic one is for. We're going to have to learn how to set these presets, tune them to various stations. But then we can go to our standard AM band. And this is working kind of interesting. Some stations are coming in real well, and then sometimes they just pop out. And I got to figure out what's going on there. Like we just lost our
our Mexican sports station that was there. Let's see if our Indian station.
There it is.
There it is. There's that pop.
Yeah.
And now see, now we're going to.
And in one of the more nerve-wracking things I've done all week, got this turned around without dropping it. So I have to say I'm quite pleased with how this has turned out, and hoping that Dave will be equally pleased. And I hope you've enjoyed watching this series of videos. This is it's been quite the project, but absolutely worth doing, and something that pretty much anybody with some basic aptitude and skills can take care of. So if you're so inspired, do your own.